Hello, everyone, and welcome to our today's session. We are very, very happy to welcome all of you here today with us, guys. I really hope that you will enjoy our today's session. This is one of the first sessions we have for June. And this is going to be a session dedicated to standardized tests. We actually dedicate these 2 months to standardized tests and to English proficiency tests. And I would like to introduce myself. My name is Alina. I'm an Education USA advisor, and our Education USA regional team manages a website, manages 2 cohorts that are regionally compiled. So we have here 11 countries that are joining us in competitive college club cohorts and in graduate cohorts like GSAP. So that one started yesterday, and I think this webinar is going to be specifically interesting for students who are going to take or who are now in the process of researching their postgraduate studies. So as I have said, today we have an invitee that actually has participated previously in some of our webinars on TOEFL, and we're going to have also that next month. But today we have Arum with us, and we'll talk about GRE. Tests that we don't really have a lot of webinars on, and we have a bunch of questions from students who are preparing for their GRE test, and to them it's very interesting how they should what they should know about the test and what they should concentrate when taking the test. What is the preparation process? So all of that is going to be covered by Arum today. Arum, I will just give you the floor so you can introduce yourself and say a few words about you, and then we can just move to the presentation.
Thank you, Alina. Hi, everyone. It's really great to be here. Again, my name is Arum. I am an academic partnerships manager at ETS EMEA, so I am based in Amsterdam. But today I'm going to tell you a lot more about the GRE test, Graduate Record Exam General Test, usually used for grad school admissions. Let's continue. Feel free to ask questions if you have any. Start with the overview of the test. How does the test look like, especially for those who have never taken the test? I think it's really important to know that the GRE test is totally different than the TOEFL test, even though it has the same mother in a way. It's from ETS, Educational Testing Service, but both tests are they have different purposes. So TOEFL test is usually for assessing English proficiency or English competence, while GRE test is more than that. It's more like aptitude test. So even though it has the writing skills to assess, but it doesn't necessarily to measure in English proficiency. Okay. Also, the GRE is also used to meet the needs of students coming from all kinds of backgrounds, because really, like, the GRE can present the score with very personal, and also leaves you the score that can resonate with you as a person. I'll talk more about what the test is, and let's dig in. So. So it's actually not a new test. So for those of you who just knew about this, it's not a new test. It's been there even before the TOEFL test. This is like a very early test. A long time ago, ETS was built in 1947. So it's around that time. So it's been widely used and also been used particularly to assess students to be able to get into master programs, or wide variety of students to go into engineering, sciences, liberal arts, business masters, MBA, and also doctoral programs. So around 20,000 graduate business and law programs have used the GRE scores. Also, it's already been used by institutions, government agencies, organizations that offer fellowships and scholarships. So we've been working well with Education USA, I think, for the past probably 5-6 years. So we have been supporting you as students and being part of Education USA with the test that we have. So the next one is, there are reasons why some schools might need to ask you to take the GRE scores. Usually institutions will put in their requirements or in the websites of requirements whether or not you will need to submit the GRE scores. Again, especially if you are applying for grad program. So because these tests really help you to identify your preparedness academically, especially again if it's above master program, master and doctoral program, right? It also helps avoiding any unconscious bias. So giving tests sometimes, if the test is not really measurable well, it could create invalid test or unconscious bias. So it really has the potential, if you submit the GRE test, it can avoid unconscious bias. It also give applicants a fairer chance because it's a common measure. And we've got a quote here from the Dean of Admissions at Yale University, saying that including task scores as one component of a thoughtful whole person review process can help increase the diversity of the student body. So again, it's really the big reason is fairness. The GRE is really an objective way to evaluate applicants, and also to cut down unconscious bias, can help schools more having more diverse groups of students and giving each one of you or students fair chance to study at the program. Um, so here are some of the highlights why, like 5 ways in which submitting scores can really help students. It really gives you as students a competitive edge. So these are the data that we have. Like 81% of GRE test takers, they're accepted into graduate program where they submit their GRE score. 81% is pretty high, especially if you attach the GRE score in your application. And also those who submit the GRE scores to the program, they don't require them are accepted also into programs at a higher rate. So 87 than those who do not. So all in all, it's really a convincing reason if you want to apply to a program and attach the GRE score or submit the GRE scores even to schools that they say scores are optionals. So submitting GRE can also help demonstrate to the schools which you are applying and admission committees that you are really ambitious and motivated graduate students, and you also want to do well in the school. So here we've got Helen Zucchini, who said that most admissions officers don't want to admit people that we are not sure of. So taking the GRE is a great way to support your application and make it even better. I can give you really like a point where usually admission officers will receive thousands of applications. So there are ways to make sure that your application is really standing out compared to other your colleagues or other applicants. So one of the way is to also attach or submit the GRE scores. So the decision to apply graduate school somehow can be intimidating. I know, like right now, you probably have already thought of, applying to a school, and when you check the requirements, there are, tons of documents that you need to submit. So it's really intimidating. Somehow, you can also feel insecure and wonder, like whether or not you're ready for the challenge to once you sit in the class, right? So taking the GRE really helps you gain confidence, also to reassure that you are ready for the class. Another reason is this is really like a refresher. Before I talk more about the details, refresher, what I was talking about is the concept, terminology, strategies, especially for those who have already taken like a gap year between your undergrad to your grad program. So probably you are working in the meantime, right? So it's really a good refresher for you, because there are also so many resources that are available at the GRE, which I'm gonna talk also about today, that you can also use to prepare yourself to apply for the grad school. Um, Also, if you submit the GRE score, you can also stand out for a scholarship. So I think I'm really like the living proof that I did that to get my scholarship. So I did my PhD, and one of the things that I did uh, good was like submitting my PhD application with the GRE score. So it's also like from that data that we have more than half 57% of the GRE test taker who submit score as part of the scholarship application are offered a scholarship. So thankfully I submitted it and I got the scholarship for a full-time PhD program. So the GRE scores. What are the skills that are measured on the GRE scores? If you take a look at this, you could really tell that this is not about English proficiency test. So there are three sections at the GRE test: analytical writing, verbal reasoning, and quantitative reasoning. So what are the skills that are measured? It measures critical thinking and analytical writing skills. So I mentioned you still need to do some writings in the task, but really, like what it's checking is your critical thinking and analytical thinking skills. So, how whether or not you are able to construct and evaluate arguments. Another section of the GRE task is verbal reasoning. So, this is a reading comprehension. Also, it's also to check verbal and analytical reasoning skills, focusing on your ability to analyze and evaluate written material, and quantitative reasoning. From the name itself, it must be about math, right? So it's also checking your problem solving ability, your basic concepts of arithmetic, algebra, geometry, and data analysis. So you know already, it's about analytical writing, verbal reasoning, and quantitative reasoning. How long will the test be done? The total testing hour is 1 hour 58 minutes. So there will be one essay task for analytical writing section, and you will have 30 minutes to write in a way. And for the verbal reasoning, again, verbal reasoning is the reading comprehension. There will be two sections, and section one consists of 12 questions and 18 minutes, and section two will be 15 questions within 23 minutes. And the quantitative reasoning, the math part, will be also divided into two sections. Section 1, 12 questions and 20 minutes, and section 2, 15 questions, 26 minutes. And also, analytical writing always comes first, and then sections come in random order. So this is also some of the questions that students, applicants usually ask. So how do I check the score that's needed by the institution? These are the score scale. Don't get confused, because if you take a look at this, they don't have the same scale, right? Analytical writing, it has 0.6, 0 to 6. So say, for example, you got 6, that means you have an incredible writing skills. And it also has half point increments, meaning it's possible that you will get like 5.5 for your writing, analytical writing score. But for verbal reasoning and quantitative reasoning, the score is going to be between 130 to 170 and full point increments. So there will be no 0.5. Okay. So these three scores are provided to test takers and also score recipients, means institutions or university where you're applying to. And usually the GRE team will advise against adding scores together. So it's really not necessarily to add scores together. What university is doing, usually they put, say for example, they want to have the GRE score in total 170, or I don't know, say 170, with the analytical score minimum 5 or 5.5. So they will say that to you, but you don't need to combine all together the score. So just to give you like a general example on how on the screen you could see how the average score, the median score, and also the standard deviation of three different sections in the exam in 2022, I believe. Yes. These are the results from students from all over the world and kinds of studies and disciplines. So you could see that what are the mean score of three different sections at the GRE test. So for verbal reasoning, the mean score of is 150.94. For quantitative reasoning, 155 and 44. Analytical writing measure is 3.5. What could you tell? Quantitative reasoning, even though it's math, might sound scary to you. It's kind of easy actually. And the analytical writing is around 3.5. Okay, it could be better, I believe. Um, these are some of the example of popular graduate programs and their typical GRE score requirements. Say, for example, if you want to go to Purdue University and you're going to take electrical and computer engineering, usually this is what they want to ask you. Please, the GRE score around 152 for verbal and for the reading part, right? 166 for the quant and 3.6 writing. And of course, it's very competitive. So it really depends, right? If you take a look at top law schools such as Yale and Harvard, they have different also requirements: 168 for verbal, 165, 166 for quantitative reasoning, and 5.5 for writing. Again, you can't really compare each university will have the same requirements for the GRE scores because it really depends on how they give the weight of their program, right? So say for example, me, when I took linguistics, I had to have like 5.5 for writing. So that's because they want to make sure that I am able also to write, once I graduate, so it really depends. So probably for Purdue University, because this is computer engineering, writing skills not really needed. So 3.6 is all right. But then the math should be high. So if you take a look at it, it's not a total score that it will give, it's a section score, right? So in general, if you are applying for scholarship, this is just a general scholarship information that we gave. Scoring above 160, that's what you need to have for both verbal and quantitative sections. It's already a good one. And for social science, the top programs usually ask for around 160 for verbal, 158 for quantitative reasoning, and 3.5 to 4 for writing. So let's take a look at deeper into all of each sections. Okay. First, we're gonna start with the verbal reasoning section. This is to assess your ability to understand what you read. So that's why it contains three question types: reading comprehension, text completion, and sentence equivalence. Reading comprehension is just the text, and then you have to ask the question. Text completion, there are some, this erased or missing text, then you have to complete it. Sentence equivalent, to find the equivalence of sentence. To accommodate different interests and backgrounds, there's also a balance of questions. So you don't have to worry whether or not, because I'm a linguist, I will not get any, I will not be able to do questions about linguistics, because it varies, the different interests and backgrounds. So it covers natural sciences, social sciences, business, and humanities. And there's no specific knowledge of any object required. So you don't have to worry about your background. Um, Now, this is an example of how the verbal reasoning section of the test. This is so-called sentence equivalence. In this specific sentence equivalence questions, you usually have to complete a passage, selecting one or more answer choices. So in this case, we see like a single sentence with just one blank space. Here, you have to select to answer. You could see at the bottom there, from 6 answer choices provided on the screen to fill in the blank space. Okay, let's try. Do you want to try? Let's try to do this one together. I cannot see the chat, but maybe Alina, you can help me. What's the answer for this question? I'm just curious. So let me check. The question is, Mark, The macromolecule RNA is it's common to all living beings, and DNA, which is found in all organisms except some bacteria, is almost as. Can anybody answer? We have to have like two answer choices. What will be your answer? So RNA is a common element to all living beings, and DNA is found in all organisms except some bacteria. Can somebody help in the chat?
Yes, I mean, guys, we would appreciate. We've made the screen bigger so you can see the question here.
Oh,
It's
I
gonna be
can't see
great
the
if you
chat.
can practice that a bit. Yes,
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. I'm afraid to answer because I'm staring at the screen like already for 2 minutes, and I don't really, I don't really know what can be the answer. But maybe someone. Okay, we have an answer from Irma. Ubiquitous and universal. Universal.
Yes.
Yes. Could that
Wow.
be
We
an
only
answer?
have answer from one person. How many people are in the chat right now?
Yes,
Okay.
guys, more of
Can
you
somebody
maybe can
second
answer
her,
that.
or Ima, or was it Ima? What's the reason? Or can you type it? I'm just
Yeah,
curious.
Irma, if you can tell us what is
Or
the
maybe
reason of
because
your
are you
answer?
biologist or someone? That's why, or you love biology.
Maybe that might be. It might
Yeah.
take us a longer time when they will give us the answer because this is a live session. So
Yeah,
maybe
so
70,
that's all right.
80.
But yeah, feel free to put your answer on the chat, and also, why it's that answer. So what was the answer again? Universal
Um,
and
and ubiquitous, the last
ubiquitous.
one.
Yeah, okay. So let's see what's the answer. So I think she's right. Has she
She
been in
was
any
right.
GA?
Congratulate, Irma.
I
Okay, congratulations. Wow.
Yeah, so here are the strategy. Again, I make sure to you that you don't have to have like any, like any backgrounds, but you need to have strategy. So read the overall sense, right? So you read the overall sense. So reread the senses with both words in it and confirm that both words make sense in the sentence. Okay, so also check whether these words, those words, you need to mismatch them, and check that this sentence convey the same message. So really, it doesn't mean that you just need to read it carefully, the sentence. Read the sentence to get an overall sense what that is, and identify words or phrases of those options that seem particularly significant. Again, it doesn't have to have like a background, and try to fill in the blanks like a mismatch. And then with your own words and find answer choices. Really, like you need to understand. Again, this is reading passage, okay? So and then after you make the answer choice, you can pre-read again whether it matches or not, whether it makes sense, and then that will be the answer. So you don't have to worry. Actually, when you see that question, you probably like, oh my god, I don't have like a any knowledge, any background. Again, this is reading, so you don't have to worry. Read that again and make sure that those options really has the same meaning, and then matches with the sentence, with the question. Okay. Now let's go to the quantitative, the math, right? This is numbers. Um, so it is to assess your ability to interpret and analyze quantitative informations to solve problems using math models. So the basic concepts you need to have is arithmetic, algebra, geometry, data analysis. So you don't have to worry, you will have a calculator with you. Usually if you do the test at a test center or at home, you are not allowed to not allowed to bring your own calculator, because basically during the test you will get a digital calculator. So this is one example of a quantitative reasoning section. And this is multiple choice. Select one answer choice. Of course, this is like only one answer. Okay. This is also a problem solving. What a problem solving look like on the GRE test platform. So let's try to do this again. Okay. I really want you to try. Usually it's easy. Students can easily just do this. This is a traditional multiple choice again. and you need one answer. So a car got 33 miles per gallon using gasoline that cost $2.95 per gallon. Approximately, what was the cost in dollars of the gasoline used in driving the car 350 miles? Do you have any answer?
Not yet in the chat. We're
You
gonna
can
wait
you
for
can
that.
put your answer in the chat, please.
Yes, guys, please submit that in the chat. It's gonna be interesting.
I need to know whether you are not sleeping. No.
We
But yeah,
have.
just put whatever number. Is it 10? Is it 20? Or is it 30? Or is it 40? Or is it 50?
I'm more than sure we'll have a lot of answers, and most of them are gonna be right. Come on, guys.
I can't really check the chat. Yeah, please write your chat and then Alina will help. What's the most answered?
Yes, Irma is asking $30. It's a question. It's
You
not
can
a.
put it. Oh no, you don't have. Okay, we've got $30. Who else?
Yana also writes $30.
Oh, it takes time for you to. Yeah, $30. Okay.
Yeah. We can wait for two more answers. Otherwise, we can. I mean, it can be shown on the screen because I guess already two answers. That's
Yeah,
something we
for
can
this one,
compare.
you can use your calculator because you are not on a task. Okay, but
Yeah.
usually you can use calculator in the real task in the digital calculator. Okay, should we check?
I
So
guess
you
yes.
so yes, so the
We have
reason
two winners.
it doesn't need to provide
Congratulations.
the exact number, right? So, but 30 is the answer. The correct answer is there, and then so what you need to do is really like check the answers, which one is the closest, especially if it's not like a full number, right, with commas, and also check whether the answer choices really shows the better or the closer to your answer, and review again. So make sure that you don't misclick it. You make sure that you really click on the right answer, and also don't make a question mark because I know you're doing great. So 30, that's it, Irma. So $30, that's the answer, and you are right. So let's see another example. This is also another example of quantitative comparison questions. So these questions ask you to compare two quantities, quantity A and quantity B, right? If you take a look at here, the quantity A, PS, quantity B, SR. I'm not going to teach you math, okay? Don't worry. This is the questions usually common in the GRE test, and then you need to decide which of the following statements describe the comparison. So you need to make sure you need to see whether quantity A is greater, quantity B is greater, or the two quantities are equal, or the relationships cannot be determined from the information given. What will be the answer? Just a random answer. What would you choose? A, B, C, or D? You take a
Okay,
look at that
guys.
picture.
Good luck with this one. We are waiting for your answers. Let's see. Who's gonna be the first one?
I need somebody who loves geometry.
Yeah.
And also, this is probably to start, and oh, this is the type of questions that might appear at the GRE test. I think it's also good to know, right? Especially, again, those who have worked quite a while and need some refresher. And this is some example of it. Nobody's giving random answer. A, B,
We
C,
have
D.
here two of them. One from Aliyah. They are similar, but that's a question. I mean, that's not an affirmation.
Oh, they are
And
similar. Okay.
no, she wrote C. She
Oh,
wrote C.
C.
So she chose the two quantities are equal. Then Irma wrote probably D. Then Nato also wrote C.
Okay. I think that's also the same, a normal question that you ask. They look similar, right? That somehow. So if you really look at the figure, PS and SR, the triangle here. I'm not teaching math again, but just look at it quickly. Both have the same length, but one important thing that we need to remember is that geometric figures are not drawn to scale. So we are not going to do any performing needles computations to compare the two quantities. We're not going to do that. So and so in this case, the correct answer is option 4, because the information provided is not enough. You need more than that, right? You need scale, you need number
Right.
in that between PS and ISR. So it's really not math. If you take a look at it, and then we thought, okay, they're probably the same, probably not by 1 inch. So it's really safe to answer with D, because the relationship cannot be determined from the information given, because it's not a full description of the picture. So, see, you think it too deep. But I
Congratulations to
appreciate
those
it.
who chose the right answer.
Yeah,
Irma,
don't fall for that trick, okay? Probably good answer C would be, but again, it's your problem solving, critical thinking skills that's checked there. Okay, now let's see the analytical writing portion of the exam. So in simple term, analytical writing is you have to write one essay, right? Within 30 minutes, sorry. So the essay is going to ask you to analyze an issue. You will be given an issue, okay? So you will see on the prompt, I'll show you later, a certain topic in which you will need to write an essay for. And then you don't need to be an expert on that subject, okay? You just need to use your own knowledge. Again, usually when you are writing, you have to have like clear arguments, right? Just a normal writing, you need to have clear arguments and supporting details like examples, and also relevant experiences. You can also give your experience. And again, this is going to be done with a computer, so you just need to type it. And there will be no spell checker or grammar checker, so you have to be careful with your typos, for example. So let's see an example of the analyze an issue task from the analytical writing. So if you take a look at this, the prompt, this is basically the prompt that you are going to see. You will see a prompt where you could see a short quote or explanation, a short explanation, a question, or a task for you to develop your essay. Here it says, write a response in which you discuss the extent to which you agree or disagree with the statement and explain your reasoning for the position you take. It's like ChatGPT. Well, but we cannot do ChatGPT in GRE tests, okay? So this is, and then you need to respond, okay? On the right, this is where you will have a space to write your answer. So this is the format that you are going to find. What you need to do is you need to to write. So the general statement that we have there, as people rely more and more technology, that's a general statement. To solve problem, the ability of humans to think of themselves will surely deteriorate. That's the general statement, and it doesn't require a specific content knowledge, okay? And the below one is the clear instruction. So you need to give your time to think. Of course, I always suggest students to do like a note taking, like to map what they can write and what need to be supported, what are their statements. And then especially for those of you who are not native speakers of English, I am not myself, we really need to make sure that checking our spelling mistakes and also grammar, and also make sure that the arguments that we write there are clear. Okay, the arguments and the ideas are clear. Okay, I'm not gonna ask you to write this time, it's gonna take time, but yeah, that's how it looks like. So now, what are the general tips and strategies? I hope we still have time. Okay, I'm gonna be a bit fast. Okay, here the general tips is make sure that you are familiar with the question formats, like the question in the quantitative one. You probably are so confused on answering that. Now you know that we can also say that we don't know because it's not clear, it's possible. Now you can easily do that, right? And also make sure that you are time, you understand the timing. You only have 30 minutes for writing, for example, and every question needs to be answered even though you are not sure. So make a best bet, make a best guess to answer every question, especially for the section for the reading comprehension part, like the quantitative one and the first one, the verbal one. Okay. Also, don't waste time to question that you find difficult. Like you stare like more than 1 minute or 2 minutes, while each one of the question in general you have to do that with less than 3 minutes. Don't spend too much time on review screen. And then it's really important to check again whether or not you have answered all the question at the end. So say that you want to take the test already, you know already how the test look like, you want to take the test. Where can you take the test? I already a bit mentioned it before, that you can take the test at a test center where you just go to a test, you register, and you decide which test center is nearby, close to your region, your place, and or you can also do the test at home. Okay. So does that mean that you don't have any proctors when you do the test at home? Because at a test center, of course, we have proctors, people watching you to do the test, right? So if you do the test at home, of course, there's remote proctors that are going to monitor your, if there are any violations of the test security, so answer if your questions if you have any. For the test center, it really depends on the test centers in your country. For the home test at home, you can take it available 24 hours a day. You can check it based on your schedule, even on weekends. And also appointments for the test centers really like a few days out. So it's really important if you book it early so you can get the seats at the test center. But for the home test, you can it's really easy, typically available the following day for the seat. So test center is responsible to make sure that the room and computer equipment, because this is going to be done with computer, and also is usually test center will take care of that. But for the test that's going to be done at home, you need to check it by yourself. Meaning, if you're using your own computer, make sure that the room where you do the test or the computer or that you use during the test really aligns with the standards that GRE is providing. And also you need to do a system check. Why is it on red there, like really like highlighted? Because sometimes students just ignored that. They didn't do the system check and go straight to the test. And apparently in the middle, because they skipped the system check, they get some errors. So that's why it's right there, because we really want to make sure that you check your system before scheduling your task. Okay. So how do you register? Create an account there at ets.org/mygre and register. You need your ID documents. Usually we ask you to have your passport with you. National ID is fine. And also make sure that your name that's listed in the passport or ID or documents really matches with the information that you put in the website. Okay. Make sure the entire name is the same, because when you do that with the test, regardless you do the test at a test center or at home, we are going to check combine the name that you list in our system and also at the national ID. So how to prepare for the test? You can do a mini quiz, GRE mini quiz. This is a 5 quantitative reasoning, 5 verbal reasoning questions from the general GRE. Please do this. I put the website there so you can also test your skills to do it. Just play around with it to make sure that you know the question, you know how to answer it. And we also have some sample questions from the GRE test from previous questions that we don't use it anymore for verbal reasoning and quantitative reasoning, sample questions and explanations. So you can also get it there from the website. Or if you think it's not enough, you want to study more, that's what I did before. So I bought like a very heavy book with me to eat them, basically, like to do practices again and again, because I think it's really important if you are preparing for the test. And these are some of the options that are available. We've got the 3 practice tests where you can buy books. Is kind of really like thick, I think around 400 pages, something like that. That's printed. You can also get it ebook. And you can get GRE mentor prep course. This is, if you think you cannot study alone, you need a mentor, you can also apply for this, register for this. This is, you can see the GRE questions, quizzes, time practice, and also like a virtual mentor that can help you, assist you. And we also have Score It Now. This is when you think you have already done all the exercises, you have already understood how the test look like, and you are ready to do the test. I would suggest you to do the Score It Now before you do the real test, because you probably see where you are good at, and then you still have time to increase it before the real test. Here we've got also, if you scan the barcodes, we've got 20 questions about applying to grad schools. Probably you are still wondering, like some popular questions about applications, such as how to create a winning personal statement, or what question to ask during an interview. You can also find it there, where the former graduate deans actually ask those questions. So you could learn from that there. Maybe take some things that's good for you. And also, if you are thinking of taking business school, especially in the States, you can also check uh, here the booklet, where you will find reasons why you want to attend business school, potential degree path, and how to create a strong application for business school, and how to finance your education in the US. So feel free to scan the QR code. And I have something for you, especially for those of you who are, or students are, who are going to take the test in this region. Like if you are in Turkey, Azerbaijan, Georgia, you can use the GRE webinar TR code when you register for the test. Or if you are students from Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, or Kyrgyzstan, and you want to take the test, you can insert this code, GRE Webinar CA, where you can get $30 off of the general test. But you have to register and do the test before or by 30 September 2025. Okay? It's not like next year. It should be by 30 September 2025. And I put here some of the list that you can make use of it. The test centers available, for example, what's the difference between GRE and GMAT? Math conventions, because you want to refresh yourself again with math symbols, and math review, analytical writing pool of topics. What type of topics that usually appear at the GRE test? You can also find it here. Feel free to click it. I think that's all. Feel free to type any questions if you have one. I'm gonna stop sharing now
Awesome. Thank
so
you
I can
so
see you.
much. Thank you. Thank you, Arum. Okay, so we start with the Q&A session because we have a bunch of questions that the students have addressed in advance. Some of them they've also put in the chat. I will start with those that you guys sent to us before the start of this webinar. Okay, so one of the first question, what is the minimum GRE quantitative reasoning score required for admission to a master's program in business studies?
Oh, I'm not sure I have it. I think the score, like I mentioned before, the different schools, different programs. So it's like, say, for example, there is a school, right? And there's also programs behind it. Even different school and different programs will have different requirements. You know what I can suggest to you? You need to make decision what programs you want to go and what university, and you go deep into that, their requirements, because usually it's totally different. I have come across universities that has a light request or requirement for the GRE, but then when it comes to specific score for engineering, for example, they have different requirements. Even if one university has a GRE score requirement, two programs within the same university will also have different requirements. So please check your the website of the university, especially the programs where you get into, just not just university, so that you can get it. But in general, what they want usually, just to answer, to give you rounded, 160 for both and verbal and what is it? What am I? A quantitative one is pretty safe. Uh, and for writing, it's really like the range is really big for writing. It really depends whether they want to have, like, they want to have the graduate that are able to write, then they will put like a very high score for the writing skill.
So that's basically for all the tests. And as you have said, it's depending on the program, it's depending on the university. So yeah, you cannot say a
Yeah.
fixed score for that. Okay, how to prepare for GRE verbal, writing GRE preparations? I think you shared some tips, but maybe if we can be quick on those.
Let me check if I can open it again. Yeah, writing is really what you need to have in mind is you want to apply for a grad school. So your writing will not be looking like when you graduate from undergrad. Okay? So it should be very, so if you imagine the mind that you want to have when you are doing analytical writing is like like grad school students, like very academic or very systematic, right? um Let me check, I'm trying to open it.
We can definitely share that after the webinar and we can put that in the chat, Arum. I mean, if it's taking
Yes.
us a lot of time, because we
Yeah.
have a lot of questions. But
Yeah,
yes,
so yeah,
prepare
at
some
least you need to
resources.
develop your arguments and reasons and also your examples. I mean, in general, I could just do that. To exercise, take example or questions from, there are so many questions on the on what is it, on the on websites, for example, that give you academic level of, master grad level writing skills. So take one example from that and then try to do it over and over again. You can also say, maybe type in Google like how to argumentative questions writing, something like that, and then there are so many questions on that. So you can also, exercise developing your arguments, your reasons, and examples to support your ideas or position. Go on.
Thank you. The next one, should I take GRE exam when it's optional?
I would say yes. I mentioned the reason before. You will probably gonna be standing out, even though, so it's funny, I've talked to many admission officers, like about this stance here. So if students really like, your institution give option to students and they want to submit, is it okay? They will say like, yeah, it's okay. And they will probably, it's easier for them to check your skills actually. So everything is put up in front of them, right? Every information about you, so they just need to pick what's in front. So instead of, they probably still question, because the student doesn't have the GRE score, they probably need to have, what about their writing skills, is it good or is it not good? So they probably need to ask them to do it again. It's more work for them as an admission officer, and they don't have time usually. So I would say, to save you time, to save you headache, to save also the admission officer headache and time, please do, so it's easier for them.
Awesome. We have actually two similar questions about the preparation materials for GRE. If you can just be very succinct on this one.
What do you mean?
The preparation materials, the best preparation materials for GRE.
I will put it at the website. Actually, we offer some free one, so feel free to check it. I mean, I put everything already in the presentation. Outside from that, I don't think I know for sure. I think the ETS or GRE have given so many resources for students. I will suggest you to use them all first, and then you could check some. I don't think I have ever seen outside from us outside the TOEFL or the ETS one, ETS GRE website. I don't think I've done that, so I don't think I can suggest you that. But I will share it with you. I did share it with you this presentation, right? Alina, feel free to share to the students so they can copy paste the websites, so make use of them.
Yes, guys, you can also watch the recording so you can see that. Once again,
Mm,
a popular question: what is the difference between GMAT and GRE test, and which one is desirable for business schools?
mm. I GMAT and GRE used to be, a long time ago, before GMAT was coming from ETS. Actually, it's another story that I didn't need to give you. But in general, the purpose of this test is almost the same. Where the scope of GMAT usually is very specific, GRE can be used broadly for grad school. That's why I didn't mention to you, hey, if you want to take GRE is for business school only. Okay, so GRE can be used for everything else. I think that's the different reasons, GMAT and GRE. I personally don't really know the details of GMAT. I have never taken GMAT before. Uh, but in terms of um, what is it? The details of the test, uh, I don't. I read that they don't have this digital calculator. They don't have this friendly, user friendly prom screen like what GRE and ETS did, because that's the reason why ETS created it, because we didn't see that on GMAT and we want to help our students. At least that's what we did. I think the skill is also different. If you ask me about the difficulties, I don't think it has different, like significant different in terms of difficulties, because again the purposes are different. I can talk different thing if you compare TOEFL and other tests, English tests, okay, because some of them are not really comparable, but for GMAT and GRE they're pretty much almost the same skills. So but if you think you want to apply for business schools, but then you also think of want to apply for another program, so it's broader purposes, you can take the GRE test.
Awesome, thank you. The next question: is it possible to prepare for GRE in 2 months?
I mean, it really depends on the students. I've seen students did that. uh, but I would say normally, like, I'm a teacher too. I think if we talk about, what makes sense, right? If you don't want to burn out yourself because you want to do the what is it? The test, I think it makes sense if you do the test, the prep within 4 months, 4 to 5 months. I think it's also give you time to digest what's going on. But if you think you only have limited time, 2 months, I can do that. Again, really depends on you. Some students need to work, for example, they only have like, less than 10 hours per week to study. That really depends, right? If you say 2 months, every day 8 hours, 10 hours, it's totally different story. So it really depends on you, like how huge is your efforts on preparing for that. But just for a normal rhythm of learning, I would say 4 months, 4 to 5 months.
Okay, that's a good one. Thank you. And the last one: what is the price
Mhm.
of the test?
uh, I think that really depends per countries, so I can't really like list everything. Let me check. Oh, I think I messed it up. I think it's around 250, $220.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
And then we'll move to the questions that we have received in the chat. The first one, and this is a long one, which Irma tried to divide in several questions. So she's
Yeah.
planning to take an exam in the next 2-3 months. Due to an eye condition, I require extra time as an accommodation. I have an official ophthalmological certificate, the standard format, used by a licensed ophthalmologist in Georgia. However, this format differs from the one required by ETS. What would you recommend I do in this case?
So have you talked to ETS before? How do you know that it's different? I would suggest before you register,
Yes, she
the
said
doctor
that
is
yes.
to give any other documents as required, but it because the format is same always in your country. So have you talked to ETS before? I think you need to make a letter, and also from a letter from your doctor mentioning that it's the format is like that. I know it's gonna be back and forth with you and ETS before you make the decision, because again, ETS is handling each one of students from all over the world. If you take a look at the number that I showed to you per year, we did like 1 million ish tests. So like if what is it, if there is one student who needs really accommodations, a special accommodations, we really want to make sure that we give you a proper accommodation cater to your need. So that's why we need to assess it really like carefully, and also not to mention some people took advantage of it, like misused it, and we also want to avoid that. Now the test is becoming unfair, right? So we know that you are probably really sick, and then it's just different formats that you are using. But I would suggest you ask ETS what, talk to ETS what would they need. And yeah. Oh, they send you some format which is different.
Yes. She asked them, and they asked for they sent the format, and that's different than the one she has.
Is there any so what is the deal now? Like what? Yeah,
I
we
also
have
need to
also
write
some
my
cases.
explanation, and will indicate that there too. So she will have
Yes.
to send an explanation in the
Yes,
end.
please write recommendation. It's good if you can also write, sign with your doctor or something. Um, Prescribed by your doctor. Yeah. Again, with special accommodation, there are also different cases, then different measures. So it's really, I cannot really generalize it because this is case per case.
Of
But yeah,
course.
please write your paper recommendations or explanation on a paper or email.
Great. The last question from NATO. When taking the computer-based test, are physical papers provided for calculations, or is everything done on the computer?
Okay, different one. So are you going to take the test at home or a test center? So say first option, you're gonna take the test at a test center, you will get a paper provided by a test center, paper and a pen. So you don't have to worry, bring it yourself. So there will be a paper to calculate. So I like that, like draw something, right? But if you want to do the test at home, it's a bit different, because we will suggest. So why? Because don't want to make our task being copied somewhere. So you probably can write something, you take the test. So at a test center, if you take the test, you will not bring home the paper that you wrote for calculation. You will leave it at a test center. I was a TCA. What we did, usually we demolished that. We put it into pieces. We broke it into pieces. At home, it's not the case, right? Nobody's gonna check you, like whether you're not you burn the paper or you demolish the paper. Nobody's gonna check you. It's impossible because you've done the test anyway. So what we're going to do is we will ask you to have two options. Whether you have what is it uh the where you write something, whiteboard. Suddenly I forgot the word. The whiteboard, and then the marker, which is not permanent. So the idea is once you finish all the calculation, all the tests, you have to delete that in front of the proctor. So you will going to erase that. So that's the option, the first option. If you don't have a whiteboard, what would you do? So you can take a plastic transparent paper, plastic transparent, and a paper, or just a plastic transparent, where you can write something with a marker. Also, again, not permanent marker, to be able for you to erase that with tissue or with eraser, so that you don't have any any more typing there about our task. That's
Okay,
also to make sure that the task content is not taken away.
that's pretty clear. Okay, good. That sounds good. I hope we answered all of your questions, guys. Thank you so much for staying so long with us. I mean, it
Thank you so
extended
much.
to 1 hour, and I really hope that everything was useful, because sometimes you need all these details. And thank you so much, Arum, on going into details on every section. This is a test that you don't really have webinars on. I mean, we do have normally on TOEFL, SAT, Duolingo, IELTS, but not on those. By the way, guys, this month, as I already mentioned, we'll have webinars that are going to be dedicated to standardized tests and English proficiency tests. So go on our website, find more information about our events. I'll put on the screen a QR code. So that's on the right. On your right or on your left on the screen, so you can scan the QR code, go on there and check for the webinars that we're gonna have. Thank you so much once again for being so active. Thank you so much, Arum, for your expertise and for this presentation. I'm excited to meet you for our next webinar, which is scheduled to be in July for TOEFL. I really hope that we will also have there some discount codes. Our students really love that. So guys, if you have participated in our today's webinar, I think you will use this option. You will get $30 discount, and that's great. You can save this money. Thank you once again, everyone, and thank you, Arum. We wish you a great evening, and stay tuned for our next events.
Thank you, everyone.